Somewhere out there, he's there. He's been around with us for millions of years. And not as far away from you right now as you probably think. He's shy, he's intelligent, and he's elusive. In fact, he may be watching you at this very moment. That's why he's the Gray Ghosts.
Good little spot in here. I've hunted here for years and years. And it's, you can see it's just full of all these little draws and gullies that all come down in this little spot. And here in a little bit, we're not too far out before it starts getting about that time of the day. They should be coming out to feed again. Draws down through here. It's actually a little creek. There's a big river right over there. Not far as another little field over there. And they feed in that field. And they feed right in here real good. They like this because it backs up to all this thick timber right behind these thick woods. And the river's over there, so it's sort of got them confined in here. They don't, that river's too big for them to swim or anything, so they have to come in between here and they bed over in these trees and come sneaking in here tonight. There's a bunch of good deer around here. And I'm just going to do a little different calling this time. You don't always have to do a lot of rattling, and particularly when in this time of the year we're a little bit early, a little bit late for the rut. And they may not be responding to the rattling because it's not natural anymore. The bucks really aren't fighting anymore. They're pretty much tired out. They should be rutted out and rutted over. All the does being taken care of. So all I want to do this time is just going to grunt a little bit, not much, just a little bit of grunt calls, and mostly just sit here. But grunting works good. Bucks are and does and fawns are all very vocal animals and make quite a wide variety of sounds. But this little call, I really like it. It's because it's a lot quieter, very quiet call. It's not a loud one like some of the calls are. It's just a and deer a lot of times will call like that sort of long, drawn-out sort of a call, just a it's sort of shaky. It's like make your voice sort of shaky, you know. It would just like that, so you can hum into it a little bit. And that's what I sort of like to do sometimes if I haven't got any action after a while. But we'll just sit up here and see what comes along and give a few calls. Just gonna hide behind this big old tree here. I don't call much either right now. Just gonna sort of take it easy and wait and see what happens. This whole tree is so big and wide that from down here at my perspective, you can't hardly see anything. I'll have to peek around the side of the tree real slowly, like just slightly uphill from them too, so that'll help. And that other buck runs off finally. He saw me. He heard my heart beating, I think. Gee. Just went over that draw. I didn't see him come back up out of the draw over there, so he must be down in that draw. Oh, God, you believe how close he was? He just came in here. I think what happens, I called that first buck in here. And whenever he came in, he didn't see nothing else going on. I wasn't doing much rattling at all, mostly just sort of grunt calling. And the other one saw this boat. This is a place I've been seeing a lot of tracks. They've been doing a lot of feeding in here, so I knew, it was a good spot. Yeah, whew. He got that other buck up here, man. I didn't know which one to shoot. They were both good bucks, but he was the closest one. He's only about 25 yards off, so I thought that would be a good one to go for. But boy, he took off out of here, didn't he? Whew. Man, good deal. We'll just sit down and cool our jets for a minute. Wait a little bit. Man, that gets you going. Whew.
Well, now we're going to go back down to deep South Texas, just near the Mexican border, for some more great calling and rattling with one of the country's foremost wildlife biologists, Donnie Worthington. When it comes to managing land for the production of wildlife, Donnie really knows how to do it. Donnie's full-time job is providing the proper habitat and conditions for white-tailed deer to thrive on the 5,000-acre Tortuga Range. And with all the hands-on experience Donnie has, he's a sure bet to always know how to get a big buck to come to the horns. Well, let's see how Dave and Donnie are going to try to get one to come in today.
You gonna try to rattle them up?
Yeah, we're gonna try a little bit. We'll get set up over here in some thick brush, and I'll get you right in front of me.
All right.
This is a pretty good place right in here. We've got,
Is everybody going in here gonna stick me?
everything's gonna stick you, or sting you, or bite you.
Yeah, I'm gonna clear the ground off before I get there. Jeez, about me already. God.
Yeah, we're gonna try and use this thick brush ridge right here, and bring them out of the cover over here. They've been bedded up kind of late morning, and we'll bring them on out. They've kind of chased a few does last night, and maybe a little rested up, and we'll bring them on.
Good trail right there.
Yeah, there's a trail here, and then there's one on down about 30 yards right in there that we've kind of scouted through.
Well, they
and
can get
seem
this
to be
close, you
traveling.
think? We actually can, this time, do you get them in?
Yeah, they'll come in kind of slow. They won't be like the peak
Won't
and
be
kind
running
of
in.
break over you. But we'll get them in. You kind of watch, and you'll see. And this heavy stuff, you'll see antlers coming through, and kind of slow. They'll tilt their head back one way or another, and kind of come on in like that.
Well, the breeze is pretty good in their face this way.
Yeah, it's blowing through, and we'll, like I say, we'll keep this open spot to our back. If something crosses too far out of shot range, they'll try and circle back down on us anyway to get downwind.
So if the wind's this way, they're going to try to either try to get around down or come straight in this way where they won't smell.
Yeah.
So and we don't have to shoot. If they come through there, we won't even be able to see them for, what's that, 12, 15 yards?
Yeah, you better be quick.
Hey, I've been practicing. I can hit 10 or 12 yards.
Yeah, you better be quick.
Yeah.
They'll come in, and we'll be pretty well camouflaged. And like I say, the movement I'll be doing will be back in here. You just pull up and take your shot.
40 bit heavy. right in the corner.
Good shot, good shot. Dropped him right. Jeez. Dropped him right there. What a dude. Look at this dude. Walk around. Man, look at this dude.
Nice here.
Hey.
Nice.
What a buck. What a buck. Good dude. Ooh, what a shot. What a shot. Right in the neck. Good deer. Boy, he's heavy. Wide. What a buck. Look at this dude. Jeez. What a buck. Man.
Nice deer.
Woo-wee.
Nice
That
buck.
doesn't get any excited than that, I tell you. That is amazing. Get that close.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Can you believe how big he is?
Nice.
Woo. Look at he's been eating roughing a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got some dried stuff right here. He's been on that mesquite. Mesquite's all dried up. Look at these gloves. Oh, we're gonna feel this boy for real.
Well, he's got some weight on
Look at that. Look at the width on him. How wide do you think he is? 22 maybe?
Yeah, maybe a hair
A
more.
bit. My hand's about 9.5. Let's see, hold it right for me right there. You got 9.5 right there. Shaky fingers count for two, twice as much. Look at this, and that's 19 inches right there. You got that much more, 19, 20, 21. That's a good 22 inches. 22 inch buck. Look at that. Nice brown time, symmetrical, 10 points. You're getting ready to come back out to 12 maybe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
More strong on this side than that side.
How old do you think he is?
Oh, judging by his
beautiful.
weight, the mass in his antlers, he's probably 5.5. That's a good taker. That's what we're looking for.
That is beautiful. Isn't it? Beautiful deer. Pretty grays and pretty whites. Gives a good contrast. Gorgeous deer. Isn't that something?
That's a nice.
That's what Rattling's all about.
Man,
And you should believe how far it was. Look at that. Most people would never believe that kind of thing would happen that close.
No, that's the neat part about it. You never know,
Get
too.
him,
You
get him
just
right in
never
there
know.
close. Let's get him back and skin him out. This one is on the wall. Don't get much better than that, man.
No way. You bet. You bet.
All right. Texas style rattling.
Good deer.
Rattling Texas style.
Next, let's go up to Canada as a couple of Dave's friends bagged two nice whitetails. It's nearly 20 degrees below zero when this deer was spooked by another hunter and jumped the fence line that Earl McKelkey and Jack were sitting on. Jack makes a great shot and the big northern whitetail goes down.
Congratulations, Jack. That was seeing that fella coming down. That was a nice shot.
Yeah, you're coming pretty good there. I think I took him in the back.
Yeah, just high on the back. That's
Yep.
that's
This way, aim.
that's where he got him. Nice little four-pointer. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Way better.
Good steak.
Yeah, not a thing wrong with him. Just busted his back.
Later, Earl sees this huge buck as he crosses one of the trails on a nearby farm and puts him down from over 300 yards away. What a shot!
Using this little farm trail where there's a lot of deserted farms here, and the trails are, the roads are bad. We just more, we call them prairie trails, where you just bounce along very slowly and maybe shake the back end of the truck.
Well, next, let's go on with Jay as he hunts the great state of Tennessee. The eastern hill country of Tennessee provides some great whitetail habitat. And here's Jay to show you how he called his in so close.
Well, this looks like a pretty good spot right in here. Got a couple of benches running through here. A little bit of a low bench here and a little bit of a higher bench right up here. A little bit of a draw coming right down through here. A little bit of deer sign running on this low bench right here. Looks pretty good. We'll just take this net and find me a good spot to set up for it first thing in the morning. You see what we can see. We've been seeing a little bit of bucks running with the does here lately.
Looks like they're just fixing to come into rut, maybe a week or so into it. We're going to try this little rattling in the morning. Might be a little bit early, but we'll just see what we can see. I really don't think as early as this is, they'll be fighting too awful hard yet, but we'll just give it a few cracks here.
A little while later, and a buck is on the move. Coming across the top of the ridge will almost always be the direction a buck will come in from, regardless of the wind. If he's the dominant buck of the area, he's looking to come run off whoever's in his territory, and coming from the uphill side will give him the advantage. What a shot! And from only about 8 steps away. The buck was looking to the east while Jay drew and got ready for him. He goes down fast, as most bow shot animals do, resulting in a quick, clean kill. That's the way to do it.
All right. Looked like a really good shot. He just went out there about 40 yards. Looked like he went right on down. Looked like a good heart shot to me.
Well, now let's look at something a little different. Dave's been experimenting with what he calls deer coying. He's using a life-size deer decoy to try and attract other bucks into range. When other bucks are in the rut, they won't tolerate other dominant bucks in the area. Dave starts out by using rattling antlers to get the attention of bucks in the area. Sometimes it ends up like this. final trip of this video, let's head on to Oklahoma, land of the big bucks.
Got a pretty spot as any. Big old rocks in this country here, pretty neat. What I'll do, I'm going to try to do a little rattling here in this country. It's, of course, as we said before, the biggest thing about rattling again is determined upon the number of bucks and does that are in the area, you know, and the ratio of those does to bucks. And if you've got more does in an area, and you know, got a lot of does, and the bucks are servicing the does, a lot of times they won't be quite as receptive to rattling as they would be, you know, if there were fewer does per buck, just strictly because of competition. So, you know, it's dependent upon how many does to the bucks that you've got. But you can rattle just about in any part of the country, as we're going to see here how good we can do. But it's again, when you first start to rattle in a little place, I usually don't rattle hard and fast to start with. I just sort of, you know, that buck may be 100 yards to the woods. You'd be surprised how many bucks are 100 yards from the woods from you all the time. You can't see them. And you just start off with a slight little, and not much, just light. I mean, he can hear that for a long way depending on how the wind is. If you don't have much of a wind, it'll carry in every direction a long ways. If you got, you know, a pretty good wind, it'll carry downwind pretty good, but not upwind pretty good. So set yourself up in a position to watch your downwind side too. A lot of times I like to come crosswind and come in behind you. So you want to watch your wind best as you can. Be prepared to see that buck come in crosswind or downwind. If he gets completely downwind, he's probably going to get you sent to take off. So you want to try to take him before he gets completely downwind. But always be aware of where your wind is. But just a slight little tickle when you start. Just a little bit of playing around. And just stop, wait a minute. That's when I like to do that little grunt. Just a little soft little grunt. That's about all you need to do. And then just wait a little bit, look around, just check the woods at it. First one that close, you'll probably see him. He'll probably move or at least turn his head or twitch or do something to look in the direction of the sound. And again, as I've said before, is, you know, what's nice about rattling, especially if you're out in the woods, is it doesn't alarm the deer nearly so much. You can get away with almost anything. If you're camouflaged well, I mean, you're making motion, you're moving, if you need to, you know, put the antlers down and get your bow, go ahead and do it. Try to do it, you know, if the deer's head is behind a tree or behind a bush or something like that, because that just gives you a little bit of additional advantage to hiding. But if you can, if he's in the wide open, he's expecting to see some movement. He's hearing rattling, having around, you're kicking around and he's like this and hitting the tree limbs. You know, there's noise being made, and you know he knows, he's thinking that there's two bucks over there fighting. So you know, don't be too afraid to make a little motion, especially when you're down. You know, that's the biggest thing that tells animals, wild animals, that you're a man, when you stand upright on two legs. So when you're down on the ground, you're bent over on your knees, like I like to get, you know, so I can do some of this stuff here, you know, stomping the ground and all this kind of stuff. You're down in a position where you're not very recognizable as a man. So don't worry about making noise. Making motion. You don't have to be as well camouflaged. You don't have to be as well covered. Like I like to use a net a lot of times to hide behind a little camo net. But if you just get behind this little tree or little bush, I just like to get next to a tree so I can have something just sort of to rake the limbs and stuff on it. But it gives you just a little bit of concealment. But don't worry about it. Just when you see the buck come in, you know, slowly just put your antlers down. As soon as you see him come in, just put those antlers down, okay, the best you can. Get your bow. It should already be knocked up and ready to go, with an arrow on the string, ready to go, and have it, you know, where you know you can pick it up without hitting any limbs or branches when you do, and get it in position. And this first chance you get, you know, make your draw and hold it. Again, when you're shooting, you know, a bow, especially if you're holding on an animal like a deer, where you're trying to wait for a good shot. But that deer, he knows around. He may have already even seen your motion. He sees where you're at. He may look around as he comes in every different direction, you know, like that. So a lot of times you'll be sitting there and the buck will be coming in, and you may want to draw. You know, he's looking in your direction or whatever. He'll still be looking around. Okay, he'll be watching his area. So whenever you wait till he turns his head, make your draw. Now, a lot of times you make that draw, you got to hold a long time. And what I like to tell people, I tell you, every time people miss on deer, it's almost always a high shot. Okay, and you know. The reason why, again, if you're shooting a compound bow, I'll just give you a real quick little demonstration of what it is. On a compound bow, the trick of a compound is that you're storing some of the energy in the limbs and in the eccentric wheels, or cams, as this is. As you draw a bow back, when you draw it back, say you got a 70-pound bow, it's a 72-pound bow, say it's a 70-pound bow. As you begin to draw the bow back, you know, it gets you start to draw maximum weight. When you get about the half draw, then you'll start to see that it starts to let off. So as you begin to come back, then the poundage actually goes down. So if you've got a 50% let off bow, that means that whenever you're at full draw, you're shooting from the valley, which is the full. If you come all the way back, when you come back to full draw, your anchor point, and you're right here, you should be in the valley. In other words, when you come back any further, you're going to hit the wall. That means it's going to be hard to draw, and the weight's going to go up. When you're in the valley, you're at the lowest weight that bow is going to hold. So if it's a 70-pound bow, we begin to pull back, we begin to get to 70 pounds, then it falls back off all the way back to about 35 pounds. We're holding 35 pounds right here. Now, if I move forward just a little bit, I've got about an inch play, and this bow got 1 inch valley. So when I'm all the way back in that one, a little 35-pound spot, at full draw, at my anchor spot, when I release the arrow, it's being released from a consistent 35 pounds of draw weight. And that's what I have my sight pin sighted at, is at full draw at the anchor point. You know, you're a nice full draw, you're standing out there at the range or in your backyard, you're sighting your pins in, you're relaxed, you're at full draw, you know, you take a nice sight, you shoot, and boom, that's how you sight your targets in. Now what happens is, whenever you get the full draw in the field, say the deer's walking along, and he looks away, you make your draw, then he turns so that you can't get a good shot. So now you're a full draw, you're holding it, you're holding it, you're holding it, you're holding it. The buck's standing the wrong way, you know, he's facing right towards you, you're facing away from him, you're holding. What's happening is you're probably creeping forward. You're probably letting your draw slip a little bit. These arms come in, your back muscles loosen up, your arm comes forward. What happens is now you're not shooting from a 35-pound position to full draw, you're creeping forward. So what happens? You're actually at a higher draw weight than 35 pounds. So now if you let it creep forward 1.5 inches, just a little bit, that's not much. Let it creep forward 1.5 inches, you release that arrow, now you might be shooting for 40 pounds or 45 pounds. Where do you think that arrow's going to go? It's going to shoot high, okay? Because you're shooting from a higher draw weight, okay? That's why whenever you miss an animal with a bow, you'll see almost always, unless you just really miscalculated your range, your distance, almost always it's going to end up being a high shot. So the best thing to do is always mentally think. I mean, I know you got the shakes and you get excited when that buck's in there and you got him close and you get ready to make a shot and you're at full draw. A lot of things to think about. But the last thing you want to do before you release that arrow is make sure you're all the way back at full draw. Mine is, I pull it all the way back till it stops, and I come forward about 1/2 inch, okay? So that's the last thing. Even though I may have held it 2 minutes, you know, the last thing I do before I release, I mentally pull it all the way back again and back up 1/2 inch, then release, okay? So think about that every single time you take a shot with your bow, you'll come out a lot better. But I have a lot of guys say, man, I was right on. I know it was a good shot. I let her fly. I went right over its back. It's probably because it just eased up a little bit forward and shot from the little higher draw weight. Tree stands, that's real common too. When you're in a tree stand, you're not shooting straight level, you're shooting down. So you've targeted your bow in from the ground level, shooting like that. Now you're up in a tree stand, you're shooting down at the ground. Well, I think what happens is you've decreased your draw length. When you decrease your draw length, then you're shooting from a higher draw weight and you tend to shoot high or over the back of an animal. So a lot of times shooting out of the stand, that's what happens. So if you're doing that, be sure that if you're, I'll show you, if you want to practice in a tree stand, full draw straight out, bend at the waist, okay? Don't forget to bend in your body. Now let's make sure you full draw, erect, then bend at the waist, right here. Just let your body come down like that, find your target and release, okay? And then you'll be assured of keeping the same draw weight. But we're going to get started going through here. We've got a lot of country, a lot of hilly country, a lot of the scrub oaks that I like to call it, and a rocky country, tough terrain, little openings here and there, and we're just going to go along and do some calling. I don't usually stop at this place more than just a few minutes. If I hadn't heard something, I'll move on. I know you can probably stop and stay a while and see something come along, but I'll really just keep on moving and get to the next spot and give it a try. So we'll just head on out right now and see what we can find. Put one glove on, see what we can do. This is the kind of stuff that we're looking for right here. This is a good rub. You can see it's nice and high. It's been carved by probably a pretty big antler buck that has a pretty good sized tree for him to be rubbing on. They really work that thing in to try to get that scent on it. If I could smell good, I'd smell it, see how big of a buck he was. Good sign to be hunting out. We know there's a buck in the area if he's doing that kind of stuff here. too close. He's going down right there, see him? There he goes. He's down. How good that was. Right there, I can't believe how he played so perfectly. He was shaking all this little light drizzling snow we've had this morning. He got the shaking around and, you know, shaking all that snow and stuff off of it. Got it. You know, he kept that little clearing right here. He kept that on the between us, and so I didn't have a shot any closer than that. But that was about a 40-yard shot. I figured, what the heck, you know, take it. And whenever I could see my hair sticking up out of the ground over there. When he got to shaking like that, I said, well, I might have a chance drawing right now or never. And that's what I did. Whew. Man, he just made a big circle. He ran around that way, and he ran back on that ridge right there, and ran all the way back over there, and went down right over the ridge. He might have run a total of maybe 60 or 70 yards total, but he just right over there, not too far. Man, I tell you, this rattling really works good. It's a lot of fun, especially this time of year. You know, we're down a little bit further south, and we got first little early snow here. And this weather, you know, it gets cold. I just keeps these old bucks out moving a little later, especially if it's rutting, you know, because they're out in the cold and they stay warmed up. Plus, they got to have a lot more food to give them more energy, you know, to keep them warm, keep their bodies warm when they get this cold. Kind of, you know, it's down just barely above freezing right now, even though we got a little snow that fell here, you know, this morning. But boy, it was great. I can't believe it, man. It's fantastic. What impressed me about this guy, he was so heavy. And there's no doubt, you know, this deer is going to be the boss deer of this area. The heavy beams that he's got like that, he's just gorgeously heavy. Boy, really put him down, got him in the lungs. Nice deer, in good shape. You know, he's faring well in the rut there. Just beautiful. He's actually got a point knocked off right here. Looks like he's been knocked off quite some time. So he would have been either a big 8. But he would have actually been a 9, but he looks more symmetrical this way anyway. No matter how you put it, he's big. That's a great deer. Fantastic.
What a fantastic deer hunt. And remember what hunting's really all about, and savor the good times, friendships, and campfires shared along the way.